Dear students, this is Siddiq PA, Assistant Professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Rajagiri School of Engineering and Technology. In this lecture, we will see the third part of the Module 1 of the subject MET 201 Mechanics of Solids. These are the contents of this lecture. First of all, we will discuss the plane stress and plane strain conditions, then the stress transformation equations for plane stress conditions, and then we will be introduced to the concept of principal planes, principal stresses and maximum shear stress. And finally, we will see the Mohr circle method, which is a graphical method to find out the principal planes, principal stresses and maximum shear stress. Next, we will discuss the concept of plane stress condition. We have already studied how to represent the general state of stress at a point. To represent the general state of stress at a point, we use 6 independent stress components, out of which 3 are normal stress components, namely sigma x, sigma y and sigma z, and the remaining 3 are shear stress components, namely tau xy, tau yz and tau xz. But using some simplifications or approximations, many of the engineering problems can be simplified such that the stress produced in a member can be analyzed in a single plane. If this is the case, it is called plane stress condition. So plane stress is a special assumption that we make when we are dealing with the mechanical problems of thin bodies, and usually the z direction is taken as the thin direction, and the stress components in the z direction can be assumed to be all zeros. Thus, for a plane stress condition in xy plane, we can say that sigma z equal to 0, tau xz equal to 0 and tau yz equal to 0. A diagrammatic representation is also shown over here. Here, this is a general state of stress where you have all the 6 stress components, namely sigma x, sigma y and sigma z as the normal stress components, and tau xy, tau yz and tau xz as the shear stress components. Whereas this is a simplified plane stress state in the xy plane, and you have only sigma x, sigma y and tau xy as the non-zero stress components. Now we will discuss the concept of plane strain condition. For the plane stress state, we have seen that we have a body which is thin in z direction, whereas for a plane strain condition, we have a thick body in the z direction. That is, the dimension of the structure is very large in the z direction compared to the dimensions in the x and y directions. Hence, the motion or strain in the z direction will be constrained or inhibited. Thus, for a plane strain condition in the xy plane, we can say that epsilon z equal to gamma xz equal to gamma yz equal to 0. A classic example for a plane strain condition would be a dam that is supporting water load. So here we can see that for a dam, if the xyz coordinates are taken like this, along the x and y directions we have smaller dimensions as compared to the dimension in the z direction. So all the strain components in the z directions can be approximately taken to be 0. Next, we will study the concept of plane stress transformation. Stress transformation is the process of transforming the coordinates along which the stress components act into a different coordinate system. To understand the need for stress transformation, let's consider the diagram shown over here. Here, 2 metal pieces cut at an angle are welded together, and the joint is being pulled by a tensile force P. Now, how do we know if the welded joint can sustain the resultant stress that this force produces? For this, we need to calculate the normal and shear stresses perpendicular and parallel to the joint. Therefore, we need to rotate or transform the coordinates associated with the force P to the direction associated with the angle of the welded joint. Then we can evaluate the stresses along these directions x dash and y dash. In short, for a body subjected to normal and shear forces, the maximum value of the resultant stress may be acting in a different direction than that of the applied load. It is to find this direction and the magnitude of the resultant stress that we use the stress transformation. Now we will see the formulation of the stress transformation equations. The general state of plane stress at a point can be represented as shown in the figure A. In this figure, we consider the xy coordinate system, and the normal stress component along the x direction is sigma x, and the normal stress component along the y direction is sigma y. Along with these normal stress components, there is a shear stress component also acting in the xy plane, which is tau xy. Now we need to transform these stress components to the orientation of the element shown in figure B. Here we can see that the element is rotated through an angle theta in the counterclockwise direction, so that the new coordinate system is x dash y dash, and we need to transform, or we need to find out the stress components sigma x dash, sigma y dash and tau x dash y dash. To determine the values of sigma x dash and tau x dash y dash, we section the original element as shown in figure C. Now, if the sectioned area is delta A, then we get the adjacent areas as delta A sin theta and delta A cos theta. And we need to find out stress components sigma x dash and tau x dash y dash with respect to the new coordinate system x dash and y dash. Now we mark all the force components on this new element. On the bottom face we have the stress component sigma y. When it is multiplied with the corresponding area, we get the force component as sigma y into delta A sin theta. The stress component on the vertical face is sigma x. It is multiplied by the corresponding area to get the corresponding force as sigma x delta A cos theta. And on the vertical face we have the shear stress tau xy. It is multiplied by the area delta A cos theta, so that the shear force is tau xy delta A cos theta. And similarly for the bottom face we get the shear force as tau xy delta A sin theta. Now on the inclined surface the area is delta A, and here the normal stress component is sigma x dash. When it is multiplied by the area, we get the force component as sigma x dash delta A along the x dash axis, and the shear force component along the y dash axis is tau x dash y dash into delta A. Now we consider the equilibrium of all these forces. Considering the equilibrium of the forces acting along the x dash axis, we can write summation fx dash equal to 0. That is sigma x dash delta A minus tau xy delta A sin theta into cos theta minus sigma y delta A sin theta into sin theta minus tau xy delta A cos theta into sin theta minus sigma x delta A cos theta into cos theta equal to 0. Simplifying this, we get an expression for sigma x dash, that is sigma x dash equal to sigma x cos square theta plus sigma y sin square theta plus tau xy into 2 sin theta cos theta. We call this equation as equation number 1. Similarly, considering the equilibrium of the forces along the y dash axis, we get summation fy dash equal to 0. That is tau x dash y dash into delta A plus tau xy into delta A sin theta into sin theta minus sigma y delta A sin theta into cos theta minus tau xy delta A cos theta into cos theta plus sigma x delta A cos theta into sin theta equal to 0. Simplifying this, we get an expression for tau x dash y dash. That is tau x dash y dash equal to sigma y minus sigma x into sin theta cos theta plus tau xy into cos square theta minus sin square theta. We call this equation as equation number 2. We have the trigonometric identities sin 2 theta equal to 2 sin theta cos theta, sin square theta equal to 1 minus cos 2 theta by 2, and cos square theta equal to 1 plus cos 2 theta by 2. Substituting for sin square theta, cos square theta and sin theta cos theta in equations 1 and 2 from these trigonometric identities, we get sigma x dash equal to sigma x plus sigma y by 2 plus sigma x minus sigma y by 2 into cos 2 theta plus tau xy into sin 2 theta. We call this equation as equation number 3. And tau x dash y dash equal to minus of sigma x minus sigma y by 2 into sin 2 theta plus tau xy into cos 2 theta. This equation is called as equation number 4. Having the value of sigma x dash acting along the x dash axis, we can find out the value of sigma y dash acting along the y dash axis by simply substituting the value of theta equal to theta plus 90 degree in the expression for sigma x dash in equation 3. Thus, we get sigma y dash equal to sigma x plus sigma y by 2 minus sigma x minus sigma y by 2 into cos 2 theta minus tau xy into sin 2 theta, which we call equation number 5. Now we will try to solve a numerical problem from this topic. The question is like this: the stresses on two perpendicular planes through a point in a body are 160 megapascal and 100 megapascal, both compressive, along with a shear stress of 80 megapascal. Determine A. the normal stress and shear stresses on a plane inclined at 30 degree to the plane of 160 megapascal stress. B. the normal stress on a plane at 90 degree to the inclined plane mentioned in A. And C. show the results diagrammatically. So basically in the question, the value of sigma x is given to be 160 megapascal and the value of sigma y is given to be 100 megapascal and the value of shear stress tau xy is given to be 80 megapascal, and we are asked to find out the normal and shear stresses, that is sigma x dash and tau x dash y dash acting on a plane inclined at 30 degree to the plane of 160 megapascal stress. That is, on a plane inclined at 30 degree to the vertical plane, we need to find out the values of sigma x dash and tau x dash y dash. And in the part B, we are asked to find out the value of sigma y dash, which is acting on a plane at 90 degree to the plane mentioned in part A. So you need to find out the value of sigma y dash, and you are also asked to show these results diagrammatically. The given data can be represented on a standard element like this. So here the values of sigma x and sigma y both are given to be compressive. They are negative stresses, and that is why they are represented as acting towards the element. So this is minus 160 megapascal and sigma y minus 100 megapascal. And along with these normal stresses, there is a shear stress component which is positive 80 megapascal. And this is the plane on which the 160 megapascal stress is acting, and you are asked to find out the stress components on a plane which is inclined at 30 degree to the plane of 160 megapascal stress. So we need to find out the values of sigma x dash, which is acting perpendicular to this plane, and the value of tau x dash y dash, which is acting parallel to this plane. And we have the expressions for sigma x dash and tau x dash y dash. Substituting the given values in these expressions, we get sigma x dash is equal to minus 160 minus 100 by 2 plus minus 160 plus 100 by 2 into cos 60 plus 80 sin 60, which is equal to minus 75.7 megapascal. Now tau x dash y dash is equal to minus of minus 160 plus 100 by 2 into sin 60 plus 80 into cos 60, which is equal to 65.98 megapascal. Now we need to also find out the value of sigma y dash, which is acting on a plane at 90 degree to the inclined plane mentioned in A. Now substituting the given values in the expression for sigma y dash, we get sigma y dash is equal to minus 160 minus 100 by 2 minus 160 plus 100 by 2 into cos 60 minus 80 into sin 60, which is equal to minus 184.3 megapascal. Now we need to represent the results, the values of sigma x dash, sigma y dash and tau x dash y dash diagrammatically. So this is the diagrammatic representation of the results. Here you have the original x-axis. From the original x-axis, the new element is at an angle of 30 degree in the counterclockwise direction, so that we get the new axis x dash and y dash. Now along the x dash axis, we get the value of sigma x dash, which is a negative value, and that is why it is represented as acting towards the element. So its magnitude is 75.7 megapascal. The value of sigma y dash also is negative, and hence it is also represented as acting towards the element, and its magnitude is 184.3 megapascal. And we got a positive shear stress tau x dash y dash is equal to 65.98 megapascal acting on the element, and that can be represented like this. Using equations 3 and 4, we can find out the normal stress component sigma x dash and the shear stress component tau x dash y dash acting on any arbitrary plane at an angle theta from the original element. And from these equations, it can be seen that the magnitudes of sigma x dash and tau x dash y dash depend on theta. That is, in equation 3, if you keep on changing the values of theta, you will come across two cases. One is the value of theta at which you get a maximum value for sigma x dash, and the other is the value of theta at which you get a minimum value for sigma x dash. Similarly, in equation 4, if you keep on changing the value of theta, you will come across a case where you will be getting a maximum value for tau x dash y dash. In engineering practice, it is very important to identify these orientations. That is, the orientation of an element which gives the maximum and minimum value for the normal stress component sigma x dash, and the orientation of an element which gives the maximum value for the shear stress component tau x dash y dash. To determine the maximum and minimum normal stress components, we must differentiate equation 3 with respect to theta and set the result equal to 0. That is, d sigma x dash by d theta should be set equal to 0. Thus, we get minus of sigma x minus sigma y by 2 into 2 sin 2 theta plus 2 tau xy cos 2 theta equal to 0. Solving this equation, we get the orientation theta equal to theta p of the planes of maximum and minimum normal stress. We call these planes as principal planes, and that is why we use a suffix p for theta. The expression that we get is tan 2 theta p equal to tau xy divided by sigma x minus sigma y by 2. We call this equation as equation 6. The solution to equation 6 has two roots, namely theta p1 and theta p2. Specifically, the values of 2 theta p1 and 2 theta p2 are 180 degree apart. So, theta p1 and theta p2 will be 90 degree apart. The values of theta p1 and theta p2 must be substituted to equation 3 if you want to obtain the required maximum and minimum normal stress values. To do this, we can obtain the necessary sine and cosine of 2 theta p1 and 2 theta p2 from the shaded triangles as shown in the diagram. The construction of these triangles is based on equation 6, assuming that tau xy and sigma x minus sigma y are both positive, or tau xy and sigma x minus sigma y are both negative. Substituting the trigonometric values for sine 2 theta and cos 2 theta in the expression for sigma x dash, that is in equation 3, we obtain sigma 1 comma 2 equal to sigma x plus sigma y by 2 plus or minus square root of sigma x minus sigma y by 2 the whole square plus tau xy square, which is called as equation 7. So we get sigma 1 acting along a plane at an angle theta p1 from the original x-axis, and sigma 2 the minimum principal stress acting at a plane theta p2 is equal to theta p1 plus 90 degree from the original x-axis. This result gives the maximum or minimum normal stress acting at a point where sigma 1 is greater than or equal to sigma 2. This particular set of values are called the principal stresses, and the corresponding planes on which they act are called principal planes. Furthermore, if the trigonometric relations for sine 2 theta and cos 2 theta are substituted to the expression for tau x dash y dash, that is in equation 4, it can be seen that tau x dash y dash is equal to 0. In other words, we can say that no shear stress acts on the principal planes. Next, we will discuss the maximum shear stress. The orientation of an element that is subjected to maximum shear stress can be determined by taking the derivative of equation 4 with respect to theta and setting the result equal to 0. It gives tan 2 theta s equal to minus of sigma x minus sigma y by 2 the whole divided by tau xy. It is called as equation number 8. The two roots of this equation, namely theta s1 and theta s2, can be determined from the shaded triangles shown in the diagram. By comparison with equation 6, tan 2 theta s is the negative reciprocal of tan 2 theta p, and so each root 2 theta s is 90 degree from 2 theta p, or the roots theta s and theta p are 45 degree apart. Therefore, an element subjected to maximum shear stress will be 45 degree from the position of an element that is subjected to the principal stress. The trigonometric relations obtained from the diagram for sine 2 theta s and cos 2 theta s can be substituted in the expression for tau x dash y dash, that is in equation 4. We get the value of maximum shear stress, tau max equal to square root of sigma x minus sigma y by 2 the whole square plus tau xy square, and we call this equation as equation number 9. Similarly, substituting for sine 2 theta s and cos 2 theta s in the expression for sigma x dash, that is in equation 3, we see that there is also an average normal stress acting on the planes of maximum shear stress, and the magnitude of this average normal stress is given to be sigma average equal to sigma x plus sigma y by 2, and this equation is called as equation number 10. Now we will solve a numerical problem from this topic. The question is like this: a point in a strained material is subjected to a tensile stress of 60 megapascal and a compressive stress of 45 megapascal acting on two mutually perpendicular planes. There is also a shear stress of 20 megapascal along these planes. Determine A. the principal stresses and principal planes, B. maximum shear stress and its plane. So basically in the question, the value of sigma x is given to be 60 megapascal positive, and the value of sigma y is given to be minus 45 megapascal. It is given that it is a compressive stress. So the magnitude is minus 45 megapascal for sigma y. And along with these two normal stress components, there is a shear stress of 20 megapascal. It is given to be a positive value. And we are asked to determine the principal stresses and principal planes. That is the value of sigma 1, sigma 2, theta p1 and theta p2. And you are also asked to find out the maximum shear stress and the plane on which this maximum shear stress is acting. That is, you need to find out the value of tau max and the value of theta s. Now the given stress state can be represented on an element like this. Here the value of sigma x is given to be 60 megapascal and it is positive, and that is why they are shown as acting outward from the element. Whereas sigma y is given to be a negative value, minus 45 megapascal. It is compressive, and that is why it is shown as acting towards the element. And this is the representation of a positive shear stress of 20 megapascal. To find the principal stresses, we have the expression sigma 1, 2 equal to sigma x plus sigma y by 2 plus or minus square root of sigma x minus sigma y by 2 the whole square plus tau xy square. Here, when you consider the plus symbol, we will get the value of sigma 1, and when you consider the minus symbol, we get the value of sigma 2. Now substituting the given values, we get sigma 1, 2 equal to 60 plus minus 45 by 2 plus or minus square root of 60 minus minus 45 the whole square divided by 2 square plus 20 square. Simplifying, we get sigma 1, 2 equal to 7.5 plus or minus 56.18. Now considering the plus symbol, we get the value of sigma 1 as 63.68 megapascal, and considering the minus sign, we get the value of sigma 2 as minus 48.68 megapascal. Here sigma 1 represents the major principal stress and sigma 2 the minor principal stress. Now to find out the principal planes, we have the expression tan 2 theta p is equal to tau xy divided by sigma x minus sigma y by 2. Substituting the given values, we get tan 2 theta p is equal to 20 divided by 60 minus minus 45 by 2. That is 2 theta p equal to 20.85 degrees, or theta p1 is equal to 10.43 degrees, and we know that theta p1 and theta p2 are 90 degrees apart. Therefore, to find the value of theta p2, we need to add 90 degree to the value of theta p1, and hence we get theta p2 is equal to 100.43 degrees. Now to find the maximum shear stress, we have the expression tau max equal to a root of sigma x minus sigma y by 2 the whole square plus tau xy square. Substituting the given values, we get tau max equal to square root of 60 minus minus 45 the whole square divided by 2 square plus 20 square, which is equal to 56.18 megapascal. And to find the plane on which the maximum shear stress is acting, we have the relation tan 2 theta s equal to minus of sigma x minus sigma y by 2 the whole divided by tau xy. Substituting the values, we get tan 2 theta s equal to minus 60 minus 45 by 2 the whole divided by 20, or 2 theta is equal to minus 69.15 degrees, and theta s1 is equal to minus 34.57 degree. Here in the expression for theta s1, the minus value indicates that the plane on which the maximum shear stress acts is 34.57 degrees in the clockwise direction, and the value of theta s2 is obtained by adding 90 degrees to the value of theta s1, and we get 55.43 degrees. Here we get the value of theta s2 as a positive value, which means that the plane on which the other maximum shear stress acts is at an angle of 55.43 degrees in the counterclockwise direction. Next we will study the Morse circle. Morse circle is a graphical representation of transformation equations for plane stress condition. Using the Morse circle, we can find out the stress components acting on any arbitrary plane, as well as you can easily find out the principal stresses and the maximum shear stress acting on a plane. Furthermore, this approach of Mohs circle will also allow us to visualize how the normal and shear stress components, namely sigma x dash and tau x dash y dash, vary as the plane on which they act is oriented at different angles. Equations 3 and 4 can be rewritten as sigma x dash minus sigma x plus sigma y by 2 is equal to sigma x minus sigma y by 2 into cos 2 theta plus tau xy into sin 2 theta, which is called as equation 11, and tau x dash y dash is equal to minus of sigma x minus sigma y by 2 into sin 2 theta plus tau xy into cos 2 theta, which is called as equation 12. Now squaring and adding both equations together, we get sigma x dash minus sigma x plus sigma y by 2 the whole square plus tau x dash y dash square is equal to sigma x minus sigma y by 2 the whole square plus tau xy square. The above equation can be written in the form as sigma x dash minus sigma average the whole square plus tau x dash y dash square is equal to r square, which is called as equation 13. Here sigma average is equal to sigma x plus sigma y by 2 and r is equal to square root of sigma x minus sigma y by 2 the whole square plus tau xy square. If we establish the coordinate axis sigma positive to the right and tau positive downward and plot equation 13, it can be seen that this equation represents a circle having a radius capital R and the center on the sigma axis at point C. The coordinates of point C will be sigma equal to sigma average and tau equal to 0. This circle is called Mohs circle because it was developed by the German engineer Otto Mohr. Each point on the Mohs circle represents the two stress components sigma x dash and tau x dash y dash acting on the side of the element defined by the x dash axis when the axis is in a specific direction theta. For example, when x dash is coinciding with the x axis as shown in the figure, then theta is equal to 0 and sigma x dash equal to sigma x and tau x dash y dash is equal to tau xy. We will refer to this as the reference point A and plot its coordinates on the Mohs circle such that A having the coordinates sigma x and tau xy. Now consider rotating the x dash axis 90 degree counterclockwise as shown in this figure. Then sigma x dash becomes sigma y and tau x dash y dash becomes minus of tau xy. These values are the coordinates of point G in the Mohs circle. So here G has the coordinates sigma y and minus tau xy. Hence the radial line CG is 180 degree counterclockwise from the reference line CA. In other words, a rotation of theta is equal to 90 degree of the x dash axis on the element will correspond to a rotation of 2 theta is equal to 180 degree on the Mohs circle in the same direction. Once constructed, Mohs circle can be used to determine the principal stresses, the maximum shear stress and associated average normal stress or the stress on any arbitrary plane. Now we will discuss the construction and analysis of the Mohs circle. This is the representation of the positive sign convention for a strained element. First of all, we should establish a coordinate system such that the horizontal axis represents the normal stress sigma with positive to the right, and the vertical axis represents the shear stress tau with positive downward. Then we should locate the origin and the center C of the Mohs circle. The center C of the Mohs circle is located such that along the sigma axis, sigma equal to sigma x plus sigma y by 2 from the origin. So this is the center of the Mohs circle. Next, plot the reference point A with coordinates sigma x and tau xy. So the coordinates of the point A are sigma x and tau xy. Now with C center and CA radius, we can draw the Mohs circle. Now how to analyze the principal stresses and principal planes? We know that along the sigma axis, the distance OB has the maximum magnitude, which represents the value of the major principal stress sigma 1. So OB equal to sigma 1 gives the major principal stress. It can also be seen that OD gives the minimum value for the normal stress, which will give you the minor principal stress sigma 2. So OD equal to sigma 2 is the minor principal stress. Now to locate the principal planes, you have to simply measure the angle between the reference line CA and the principal planes. So here CB is the major principal plane carrying the major principal stress sigma 1. Hence the major principal plane at an orientation theta P1 can be obtained by measuring this angle between the reference line CA and CB. Here in the Mohs circle it will be 2 theta P1, and on the element it will be theta P1. So to get theta P1 you have to divide 2 theta P1 by 2. Similarly, we know that the major and minor principal planes, they will be 90 degrees apart. So to locate theta P2, you have to simply add 90 degrees to theta P1. Now how to locate the maximum shear stress and identify the plane on which this maximum shear stress is acting? From the diagram we can see that the maximum values of shear stress tau are along the lines CE and CF. So tau max is equal to CE equal to CF, and their planes can be located by measuring 2 theta S1 from the radial line CA. Here in the diagram you can see that 2 theta S1 is measured in the clockwise direction. That means in the element that plane will be located in the clockwise direction, or this will be a negative value. So clockwise measurements are taken as negative and counterclockwise measurements are taken as positive. Now to locate the stresses on any arbitrary plane, first of all you need to locate the point P measuring an angle 2 theta in the counterclockwise direction from the reference line CA. So from the reference line CA we measure an angle 2 theta in the counterclockwise location and we locate P. Now the coordinates of P will give you the normal and shear stresses acting on the plane. So sigma x dash and tau x dash y dash are the coordinates of the point P, which gives the normal and shear stress components on the arbitrary plane at an angle theta from the element. Next we will see the solution of a few numerical problems based on the Mohs circle method. So the first question is like this: the stresses on two perpendicular planes through a point in a body are 30 megapascal and 15 megapascal, both tensile, along with a shear stress of 25 megapascal. Find A, the magnitude and direction of principal stresses, B, the planes of maximum shear stress, and C, the normal and shear stresses on the planes of maximum shearing stress. So here the values of sigma x and sigma y both are given to be tensile or positive, and the magnitudes are sigma x equal to 30 megapascal and sigma y is equal to 15 megapascal, and the shear stress tau xy is given to be 25 megapascal, which is also positive, and we are asked to find out the magnitudes of principal stresses, namely sigma 1 and sigma 2, and also their directions, that is theta p1 and theta p2. Then we have to also find out the planes of the maximum shearing stress, that is the value of theta s and the value of tau max, as well as sigma average, the normal stress acting on the plane of maximum shearing stress. First of all, we will establish a coordinate system with the normal stress sigma along the horizontal axis and the shear stress tau along the vertical axis, such that sigma positive is taken towards the right and tau positive is taken downward. So we fix the origin O, and the next step is to fix the center C of the Mohs circle. The center C of the Mohs circle is at a distance of sigma average is equal to sigma x plus sigma y by 2, or the coordinates of the center C are sigma average and 0, and sigma x is given to be 30 megapascal and sigma y is given to be 15 megapascal. Therefore sigma average will be equal to 30 plus 15 by 2, which is equal to 22.5 units. Now, taking its suitable scale, you can locate the point C measuring 22.5 units from O. The next step is to locate the reference point A. The reference point A has the coordinates sigma x and tau xy, and here A will be having the coordinates 30, 25. 30 units corresponding to sigma x and 25 units corresponding to tau xy. Once the reference point A is located, you can connect the points C and A, and with C as center and CA as radius, we can draw the Mohs circle. Once the Mohs circle is drawn, you can easily measure the values of sigma 1 and sigma 2, which represents the major principal stress and minor principal stress respectively. From the diagram, we can see that the maximum magnitude of sigma is along the distance OB. So OB equal to sigma 1 is equal to 48.6 megapascal. Similarly, the minimum magnitude of the normal stress is along the line OD, and it is measured in the negative direction of the sigma axis, and hence the magnitude of sigma 2, the minor principal stress, is minus 3.6 megapascal. Now, to find out the direction of the principal stresses, we need to measure the inclination 2 theta p1 between the reference line CA and the plane CB. Here we will be getting 2 theta p1 is equal to 73 degree. Therefore, theta p1 on the element will be 36.5 degrees. And we also know that the principal planes are 90 degrees apart. Therefore, to find out the value of theta p2, you need to just add 90 degrees to the value of theta p1. So we get theta p2 is equal to 126.5 degrees. Now in the B part of the question, you are asked to find out the planes of maximum shear stress. From the diagram, we can see that the maximum shear stress happens to be on the planes CE and CF. Now from the reference line CA, we can simply measure the inclination between CA and CE, and we get 2 theta S1 is equal to 17 degrees. Here you should notice that the inclination to CE is measured in the clockwise direction. That means it is a negative angle. Therefore, theta S1 will be equal to half of 17 degrees, which will be minus 8.5 degrees. Now the other plane carrying the maximum shear stress is at an angle of 2 theta is equal to 180 degree in the Mohs circle, and in the element it will be theta equal to 90 degree away from the plane carrying the maximum shear stress. So we get theta S2 minus 8.5 degree plus minus 90 degree, which is equal to minus 98.5 degrees. And in the C part, you are asked to find out the value of the maximum shear stress as well as the normal stress acting on the plane carrying the maximum shear stress. So here the magnitude of tau max will be equal to CE equal to CF, and using the scale we will be getting tau max is equal to 26.1 megapascal, and sigma average we have already calculated, it is equal to 22.5 megapascal, and that completes the solution to the problem. This is the second problem. The stresses on two perpendicular planes through a point in a body are 160 megapascal and 100 megapascal, both compressive, along with a shear stress of 80 megapascal. Using Mohs circle, determine the normal and shear stresses on a plane inclined at 30 degree to the plane of 160 megapascal stress. The normal stress on a plane at 90 degree to the inclined plane mentioned in A. Show the results diagrammatically. So here the values of sigma x and sigma y both are given to be negative. Sigma x is equal to minus 160 megapascal and sigma y is also negative, it is minus 100 megapascal, along with a positive shear stress of tau xy is equal to 80 megapascal. And we have to find out the normal and shear stress components on an arbitrary plane at an angle 30 degree from the plane carrying the 160 megapascal stress. And we have to also find out the value of sigma y dash, that is the normal stress on a plane at an angle of 90 degree from the plane mentioned in the part A. And finally you have to also represent the results in a diagram. With respect to the origin O, first of all we need to locate the center C of the Mohs circle. The center C has the coordinates sigma average and 0. The values of sigma x and sigma y are given to be minus 160 and minus 100 respectively. Therefore sigma average becomes minus 160 minus 100 by 2 is equal to minus 130 units. Now choosing a suitable scale, we can locate the point C from the origin O. So it will be along the negative sigma axis. The next step is to locate the reference point A. The reference point A has the coordinates sigma x and tau xy. Here sigma x is minus 160 and tau xy is 80. So using the suitable scale, you can mark the point, the reference point A. Now join the line CA. Now with the center C and radius CA, we can draw the Mohs circle. Now once the Mohs circle is drawn, you can locate the arbitrary plane by locating the point P on the Mohs circle. It is given that the arbitrary plane is at an angle 30 degree in the element. Therefore, in the Mohs circle, it will be at a location double the angle, that is 2 theta equal to 60 degrees away from the plane CA. So from the reference line CA, we need to measure 2 theta equal to 60 degrees in the counterclockwise direction to locate the point P. Now the coordinates of the point P will give you the normal and shear stress components on the arbitrary plane. Thus we get sigma x dash is equal to minus 75.7 megapascal and tau x dash y dash is equal to 66 megapascal. Now in the B part, you are asked to find out the normal stress component acting on a plane at an angle of 90 degree from the plane mentioned in A. That is CP is the plane mentioned in the part A of the question. At an angle 90 degrees from this plane, we have the other plane, and in the Mohs circle we need to measure double of 90 degree, that is 180 degree. So this is the plane. So if you mark a point G over here, the coordinates of G, that is the sigma coordinate corresponding to point G, will give you the normal stress on the plane CG. That is, the normal stress on a plane at an angle of 90 degree to the inclined plane mentioned in question A is sigma y dash is equal to minus 184.3 megapascal. Now the diagrammatic representation of all these results is shown here. This is the original x-axis direction, and the element is rotated through an angle 30 degrees in the counterclockwise direction. Now the new stress components are, along the x-axis we have the normal stress component 75.7 megapascal, which is a compressive stress, and along the y direction, along the y dash direction, we have the normal stress component 184.3 megapascal, which is also a compressive, and the shear stress component tau x dash y dash is 65.98 megapascal, and that completes the solution to the problem. So this is the end of this lecture. In this lecture, first of all, we discussed about the plane stress and plane strain conditions. Then we studied the stress transformation equations, and then we have seen the principal planes, principal stresses and maximum shear stress concepts, and finally we discussed about the Mohs circle method. I thank you all for listening to the lecture.